Hey everybody, welcome to Revive Mississippi. We're about to go live on 90.1 FM. The calling number 601-948-5950. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Again, go ahead and post where you're calling in from. All our first-time viewers, go ahead and hit the like button. Our returning viewers, hit the heart button. Share the video. It's going to be some fireworks in the show tonight. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. We got our co-host of that, Mr. Jason Clark.
Yeah, family.
Yeah, he getting ready to go. I will say this, that all words I say are my words and not anybody else's word, not the state of Mississippi, not WMPR.
All right,
Mississippi House of Representatives, District 66 on 9.1 FM, the voice of the community, WMPR.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Revive Mississippi. I'm your host, DeKeither Stamps. We got our co-host here, Mr. Jason Clark. What's going on, JC?
What's going on there, fam? I'm doing pretty good. How you
doing good, Jason?
Oh, yeah,
you sure?
We had a little warm-up a few minutes ago.
Yeah, we were amped up in here a minute ago. Ain't nothing like handyman.
Oh, no.
He gonna bring us in right always. I appreciate
him all the time, man.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, we thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate the loyal viewers and watchers who tune in all the time. I see Mr. Timothy Brown all the way from Jackson, Mississippi. I see Kosciuszko, Mississippi. I see Alabama. I see New York City. I see Africa. Okay, good deal. We go ahead and post where you call it, where you're tuning in from, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all those different places they got us plugged in here at the illustrious WMPR studios in Jackson, Mississippi. As we begin every show, we always say, let's take a moment to remember those folks who are going through bereavement. Every week we get the names of folks that are going through bereavement, and it's heartbreaking. And as we say, we got to be a friend so you can have a friend during your time of need. I know Miss Patty Patterson's family has suffered a loss, and several others. I almost get to call the names, but all the folks who are going through bereavement, just know that we're with you. Our hearts are with you. And in times like this, we got to make sure that we be a friend so we can have a friend during our time of need. As we begin the show, we're going to start off with our underwriters. Underwriters for today's show, and the best underwriter I've ever had. The best. Mr. Micheal Jordan, the Micheal Jordan Transportation Service. Hello, man. Mr. Micheal Jordan is a great brother.
Yes, he is.
Does great work. You can go to www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs. They specialize senior citizens, developmentally challenged, but also if you have a church that is struggling with your attendance, maybe your parishioners need some assistance getting to church.
That's true.
And what better service could a church provide than transportation? Just go get them.
Hey.
If the pews are empty, they may not have gas money. But if you went and got them, those parishioners can get picked up. They can put on a schedule to be picked up at a certain time and have them all their own time for church and home and so forth. So give Mr. Micheal Jordan a call. Again, you can go to www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs and also for your employment needs. He's always looking to hire good people to provide great service to the wonderful folks here in Mississippi. Also, SuperBurgers. You can go to right over on Dollar Street. I ain't got to tell you where they are because they've been in the same place for a long time. You can go get you a whole cow between two pieces of bread that's tasted to the last drop. And if you like Jason Clark over here, you can go get you a whole garden between two pieces of bread. Get that veggie burger or whichever burger you get. That hamburger, that veggie burger. Get them lemon pepper fries. I love it. I almost bit my finger the other day with them lemon pepper fries.
They're addicted now.
Oh yeah, I love the lemon pepper fries. Just go on over there and tell my cousin Phil and Al and the son and tell them I sent you. Now they might not give you a discount, but they might throw a couple extra fries in you, but they might put a few extra tomatoes on your sandwich or something else.
We'll take it.
We're gonna check them out on Dollar Street. And also, there's a new business that we've been kind of giving some preludes to called the Bell Barista.
Oh, yes.
Jason, what is the number for the Baobab?
Baobab Barista is number 601-699-3869. If you need that quality H3O, what I call it H3O in your system, Baobab Barista will actually make sure they meet those needs.
What kind of products do they sell?
But this right now they're selling a holistic, cold pressed juice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have right now people, you got the flu season going on right now. Pretty soon, people want detox juice here. Pretty soon, come up in January, February. I tell people, don't wait till you get sick. Let's go ahead and get that good stuff, good fluids in your body now. So once again, that number is 601-699-3869.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We want to start off today's show and say the people have spoken.
Yes, they have.
They've spoken resoundingly clear. And,
looking at them right now.
You're looking at those election returns?
Yes.
All right, so tell us, what are the election returns from yesterday's election, Jason?
Well, from the Chancery Court, District 5, we have Ms. Hodges.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then Sixth Circuit Court, District 7-2, we have Ms. Gibbs. And those are two.
The next one, the bottom.
All right. And I have from Humphreys County Sheriff, we have Mr. Bruce Williams.
Well, I'm a firm believer that everybody who offers themselves up for public service does so for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But whether you won or lost, everybody who offers themselves up for public service need to go lay on somebody's couch and get a little counseling. Because offering yourself up for public service is not an easy thing to do. It takes you outside your comfort zone. I've yet to meet a person who doesn't have to process some stuff after a campaign. And even if you weren't successful this time, and Jason, I done lost them short.
I know.
And I done lost them big.
I know.
And I done won them over the years. But if you lose the campaign, that just means that this time may not be your time, but in the future, it may be your time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the races here in Hinds County, they had some good folks that were in both those races. Ms. Hodges and Ms. Carpenter Sanders' race, two good folks. I'm friends with both of them. I was kind of conflicted there.
I understand.
I was kind of conflicted in that. Both had been on the show several times. Attorney Gilly Carpenter Sanders, great attorney and great person, more important, great person. Mm-hmm. And hats off to your campaign and everything. And there is a space for you in public service, because I'm a firm believer that we got some folks in office that need to go.
Well,
and good folks need to be replaced. It just may not be in this spot at the right time, but there is a space for good folks like yourself. And congratulations to Ms. Hodges. She ran, when I say grit, no, you don't understand, Jason. She called me, a good mutual friend of ours called me and said, hey, I want you to come by the Westin. I want to pick your brain a little bit.
Okay.
And I get these phone calls from time to time, people running for office and want to just talk it over. So I met her, I was impressed. I had met her before, but this is the first time I actually just sat down and just had a real conversation with her. And I was impressed. And I gave her the normal rundown that I normally do with folks. I give them all of the everything, more than they asked for. Mm-hmm. Hey, Miss Joanne Green, how you doing? She said, hello, Green. Jason.
Hey, Miss Green.
She said, hello, DeKeither. Hello, Jason.
Go ahead.
But I talked to her for a little while, and she left a little staggered, because I give folks the truth about this process. What it's going to take to win.
The real world.
What you're going to have to become.
Yep.
And it's not what you think it is.
They're going to see through you now out there in the community.
Yeah. Right. Once you start going to those neighborhood meetings, and you're going to evolve to be a better person. What I can say is that she took everything I said and other folks said, and when I said, she turned it into a wonderful campaign. And like I said, when she was on the show last week, I believe, or the week before last, it was a joy to watch her campaign unfold.
Well, she did elevate. I mean, I'm just saying for me personally. I saw when she first came up here, and then when she followed back through, I said, oh yeah, she done been through the fire. Now I can tell she done been through the fire. It got cooked. Am I lying though?
Hey, you tell the truth.
She got cooked out there and came out pretty dog. Well, the people said she came out good.
Yeah.
And
they both did. But when I say her maturation and growth, And like I said online, I gave a comment about her candidacy online, and I said we're watching the birth of a true public servant and a long-term investment for Hinds County in this role, because it was personal to her. You know, the service was personal to her. You could tell that it was personal to her, and I think that. And it was personal to both of them, but she really got out there and got after it, and she hit the ground running and did a wonderful job in her campaign.
I just want to say this, like you said earlier, that everyone who went put themselves out there, they want to be used. You got 2 more years, you're gonna have a lot of more positions open right around here.
Oh, next year.
Next year, you're right.
And even if it ain't open, like I said,
so all I'm saying is a lot more places to fill. That's where I want to stress that, because we need some of those great candidates to come back and run for different offices.
And in the next race, you have more comments about that?
No, go ahead.
In the next race with Miss Gibbs and Miss Wilson, Attorney Gibbs, Attorney Wilson, 2 great folks. When I say Miss Wilson has been through the trenches of these court systems,
yes,
she has been working for a long time. And, again, I feel the same way in other races. This may not have just been the spot right now, but there is a spot for that level of commitment, that level of competency, that level of service. There is a space because we have a talent void all over the state.
Well, the constituents in that race came out for that runoff too. Now,
that
wasn't like just that was a pretty good turnout.
It was, it could have been better.
Yeah, always,
but it was. I could see her running for several other positions that are be void, because of Ms. Wilson's competency and aptitude and tenacity and commitment to service. I do want to say congratulations to my colleague, Representative Gibbs, Judge-elect Gibbs, who ran a great campaign. She's been on the show several times as well, and look forward to great things from her. And she had a real good track record in the legislature, real well respected across the state, and look for great things from her. She ran a great campaign as well. She had a good, diverse team of folks who really pulled together and rallied in order to become successful in that election. So I really look forward to seeing great things from her judgeship. And now is a time during the elections where the winners now feel the gravity of the role that they have stepped forward into. I suggest everyone, like I said, no matter if you won or lost, everybody needs to take time, get a little therapy, recenter yourself, because the community still needs you. Whether you won or lost,
that's true.
The service is going to increase because the situation in our community is at we're on a spiral down, and the judges play a critical role in spiraling us back up. And I'm not minimizing anybody else's role, mine included, all the rest of us. But the judges, we have 3 branches of government.
Yep.
We have an executive, a legislative, and a judicial branch. And many times we spend a lot of time focusing on the mayor, the governor, and the president.
Yeah, that.
We spend the next amount of time focused on legislators and at the city level, or the county level, or the city level, state level, federal level. But we don't spend enough time focusing on the other equally is important and equally powerful, and in some cases, in some degrees, more powerful.
Yeah, you're right. The impact. They have a great impact
on those judge races. So now it's time for us to rally behind them and help them be successful.
Yeah.
And the best way we can help these judges be successful is to be better ourselves. Because our conflict resolution will allow for the judges to not have to resolve our conflict. Let me say that again.
I'll let they heard you on that, what that really means.
Our ability to resolve our conflicts
lowest level now
will help the judges not have to resolve our problems in a courtroom.
Or not have so much to have to deal with.
And have so much to the higher degree. You know, we say a lot about slavery here at WMPR and in society today. And I'm a firm believer that slavery did not end, it evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to stop making slaves. And I got a little pushback the last time I made that comment, and I didn't because I didn't even know I needed pushback, but now I need to clarify this. What this comment means is when I say we got to stop making slaves, I'm going to read the Willie Lynch letter. Now, the Willie Lynch letter was delivered by Willie Lynch on the bank of the James River in the colony of Virginia in 1712. Now, Lynch was a British slave owner in the West Indies, and he was invited to the colony of Virginia in 1712 to teach his methods to slave owners there. The term lynching is derived from his last name. Now, hello, caller, welcome to the show.
Hey, before you read the real Willie Lynch letter, I just wanted to say real quick, Mr. Stamp,
Yep.
that you're spot on. Slavery did not end. The procrastination didn't free a single slave. It mandated that slaves that was in the Confederacy were free. But yet you recognize the Confederacy as a separate country, you allowed them to succeed. So it wasn't worth the paper they was wrote on. Secondly, you were right, sir. Slaves in this country were not free. They were freed. E-D. F-R-E-E-D. Freed. So that means it's easier to take away from you. And how does it take away? With Jim Crow and segregation.
Right.
So you're just spot on, sir.
I appreciate it, brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, and thanks again, caller, for calling in.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, when I say we got to stop making slaves, if the Willie Lynch letter was the foundation document that taught slave owners how to make slaves, and then we continue to carry some of these practices on today, that means we're still making slaves. And you ask yourself, why? You ask yourself, why are we having all of this perverse and negative activity in the community? Well, some of it, not all of it, but some of it is because we're still making slaves. And let me read this to you, and we're going to discuss this in the show today. The date was December the 25th, 1712. He says, "Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord, 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your slave problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Romans would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and the rope on occasions. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences amongst the slaves and make the differences bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Fear, distrust, and envy for control. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it's there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, size of plantation, and status on plantations, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair or coarse hair, is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refuelers and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black man versus the young black man, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. It is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust us only. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful of each other. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, let's make a slave. It was the interest and business of slaveholders to study human nature, and the slave nature in particular, with a view to practical results. I and many of them attained astonishing proficiency in this direction. They had to deal not with the earth and wood and stone, but men, and by every regard, they had their own safety and prosperity. They needed to know which material on which they were to work. So let's break that down. First, it says, let's pit the old against the young.
Yep.
Okay. We can, if you are using any of these tactics, if you look into your life and you're doing any of these things that I just said, we're going to take a break from the letter. This is not in the letter right now, but I'm taking a break so I can get a recap because I don't want folks to miss what I'm saying here. Mm-hmm. If you're doing any of these practices, you're making slaves. Mm-hmm. So we need to roll back and take a naked look at ourselves and say, am I making slaves? And if you are, you need to stop. We can no longer pit. Oh, hold on one second, caller. Hold on one second. Turn your radio down. We can no longer pit our older generation against the young and the young against the old. We can no longer pit women against men. We must continue to work together. Hello, caller. What's your question or comment?
Yes, I have a comment, and this is Silky.
Hey, Silky.
I'm Miss Silky.
It is still working on us, and it's going to be still working on us until we come to some sense. You know, we are against one another. We are the only race that talk about one another, that mess with one another, that kill one another. It's still working, and it makes me angry. I have a so-called friend girl. She's not a friend girl to me, really, but she thinks she is. She likes skin, and she said during the summertime she put on long sleeves to keep from getting dark. Now, isn't that something? You know, she just make me sick, and I tell her to her face, she's a butthole. Peace out.
All right, sir. So the next, as it goes on, we're gonna just kind of talk through this.
Yeah.
Yeah, comment.
Well, I mean, that's we talking about the old against the young generation. We might want to take a little stop sign and really just focus on that right now, really, because you're talking about fear, envy, distrust. That's those are three things that still like it stands out right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the seniors, they got a lot of fear against the young folks. A lot of fear. Go ahead.
And when we talk about young folks, we old folks. Yeah.
I don't want to say we old.
We older.
Older. Yeah.
We're not 14.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between us and 14.
Now you're right. We got a lot of young folks out there on the streets. You guys already know this.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of great seniors who they don't work 20, 30, 40 years. They don't do what they can do to keep wherever they have right now and maintain what they have.
Mm-hmm.
But you can only buy enough security, put enough gates up. You're gonna do so much to protect, what you work for. But there gotta be some similar things like community policing. You see something, call it out. We don't call it out no more.
We're gonna go a little basic then before we get to the solution.
Sure.
Next thing, as you go through the wilderness, and I'm gonna just do some commentary right now.
Mm-hmm.
It goes on to say, take the strongest Black male you see, gather the whole village up,
Mm-hmm.
tie a horse to one leg and a horse to another leg, and pull them apart in front of all of the village.
That means babies, young babies.
So everyone can see
Yeah.
what could happen to them for non-compliance. Do you see that happening today? Of course you do.
You see so many different layers.
Right.
Even on your job.
It goes on to say, take the female,
Mm-hmm.
the Black female, and you show her what can happen to her husband. She will train her son
There you go.
to not be masculine but submissive. And it goes on to say, the key to making slaves starts with the woman, because she's the first teacher of the child, and she puts that fear in that child
Mm-hmm.
and takes away the manhood from the boy. Now you have weaker men over the generations. And that's why when I say I am thoroughly thankful for my mother and my bonus mother,
Mm-hmm.
because they trained me to stand up for myself and be a man. They didn't kiss my boo-boos when I fell down. They told me, get up, dust yourself off and keep going. They trained me to be a man. And my father reinforced and exampled that. But it was critical for I had my mothers, I had my aunts, they all reinforced my manhood.
Village.
The village was critical, and me. I can't talk about nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
The village was critical for me. And when I look amongst our young people today, First, I don't see the internal village, the mom and daddy. You know, they called me, and the reason we even diverted the show, we had a whole other plan for the show today. But Miss McGraw called, and she said something has to be done about these young people.
Yeah.
They 12 and 13 years old killing each other. Yeah. And I quickly did a little stuff in my head, and I said, well, let's go big picture, and we're going to bring it home. Our young people today suffer from something that I'd never seen before. Actually, humankind has never seen it before. We have a generation of children. See, we've had unfathered children for a long time. Yeah. People have been going to war, dying, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, fathers in the house. Yeah.
With the breakdown of the home, has caused us. We got a caller, Handy. Hold on 1 second, caller. Let me finish my comment. With the breakdown of the core home and the village that surrounds that home.
There you go.
All right. So before, if you had a father that was wayward, there was still a grandfather or an uncle that could step in. Right? Fill the void. Now we have a situation where we have unmothered children. In no time in history have we ever had so many. I ain't saying that all mothers are bad. I ain't saying all fathers are bad. But I'm saying we have a high number of unmothered children. So now we have children who are unmothered, unfathered, with no village. And this is one simple solution. And the callers are going to give some more solutions as they call in. But my one simple solution is for everybody to take a pen and paper out. Make a list of those wayward family members you know. Because the government only has one solution for these young folks. They're gonna put them in a grave or put them in jail. But you know somebody in your circle. You know your sister, your cousin ain't worth a daggone and their children in that house. You know what's going on in these neighborhoods. You don't just up and 12-year-old kill somebody. No, that 12-year-old got a family somewhere. And we have to sit down and make a list and loop these children in. If they in I ain't asked you to go save nobody else's children. I'm talking about save the ones that's in your circle. If you got a nephew, a cousin, or a second cousin, or somebody that you know is wayward, loop them in so that we can start to resolve this. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Thank you so much for your content. I really appreciate it. Greetings to the listening audience. I just want to give you a fantastic kudos for having this hard conversation. It really shouldn't even be seen that way, but our people, we repel the truth. We repel reality as kind of people. We have become, but it's not everybody. Those of us who know better, we're going to really have to step up to the plate, like Brother DeKeither and Brother Jason are admonishing us to do so. It's time out. It's time out for play. We've spent over 6 decades playing. After the civil rights movement, we became self-centered, a self-centered race of people. And that's considered to be inappropriate behavior. No other race in America or on planet Earth that is viable operates like that. Nobody does that. We take our money and we act as if, going to buy these cars, buying all these clothes, taking all these vacations, investing and all of that. Because it shears you up as an individual household. That's not security. No other race sees it that way. That's why these other foreigners have come to this country right now, and they have footholds that you could have gotten if you had done what it took. Maybe not the same way they got it. We have always been people who had to do it and pull it out the mud for ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. But we can look at the example, because one thing the other races of people have done to get ahead here in America is they practice appropriate behavior with their people.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. You told let me catch some other callers, ma'am. I appreciate you for calling in. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Good afternoon, Brother Clark and Brother Stan. John Bird.
Hey, John Bird.
Man, y'all have a great topic tonight, man. The Wisdom level.
Yes, sir.
That's a great topic. I guess my comment or observation is when we gonna social re-engineer our communities for unity. We know what the problems are and what causes the problem. I guess I'm looking at the solution aspect of it.
So the solution is
collectively to try to fix some of these issues we have.
the solution that we try to lead by example here. Every time you see me, most time I got a young person with me. Most times, Starlette will be here right now. She lives right down the street from me. Let me catch the next call, Mr. John. Okay. Hello, how you doing, caller? Welcome to the show.
Mr. Sam, how are you doing? I'm back again. We talked.
And you're the reason we even changed our whole topic today to talk about this.
That's good.
Thank you.
But because you were so sincere when you called, and your request was so sincere and heartfelt that, like I said before the show, I believe that now there are many solutions that need to take place, all right? But I will say this, that we need to sit down and go home tonight, make a list of your family members that you know away with, and reach out and loop them back in. What are some of your solutions you suggest, ma'am?
My solution that I would suggest is that, like I was telling you, we're going to have to get involved with the schools. Let me just tell you this. Like I was speaking upon the incident that happened at one of the JPS school districts here about a week or two ago that led me to want to volunteer for that junior high school.
Okay.
We're going to have to help our leadership, teachers, and the parents as well with these children.
Mm-hmm.
I suggested if we could form together something where we could have like a talk show where they could call in. The parents are having trouble with their young teens, even young babies, because stuff that just starts once you get 12 and 13. This stuff starts when you're 2 and 3, when they're cute and you're laughing and playing it off.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be good to do where they could call in and we could give them some suggestions, and maybe if we could probably, meet in an open place basis where we could just kind of talk to the parent and the child, whatever it takes to help. Another thing, I'll probably get some calls behind this. I think our superintendent need to be more attentive to the schools. I think as a superintendent, you should visit your schools more often. Maybe come in, play the role of an office worker, play the role as a custodian, play the role of a cafeteria worker, just so you can get a hands-on on what's happening in your school so that you can go back before the board or whoever they go before and make some suggestions.
Now, Ms. McGraw, I have your number written down. Let me catch some more of these callers, and we'll touch base after the show, okay?
Okay, and thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Part two.
Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm fine. This is Representative Deborah Gibbs.
How you doing, Representative Deborah Gibbs, Judge-elect Deborah Gibbs?
How you doing there?
Yes, thank you so much. I was trying to come on to tell your listeners how much I appreciate them on yesterday during the runoff election for circuit court judge. It was a stormy day, well, at least the latter part of the day, started about 6 o'clock as it was predicted, but we had a pretty good day up until that time. So I want to thank the voters for coming out. I'm somewhat disappointed in the number of people that came out, however, to exercise their right to vote. But I do appreciate those who took their role seriously and being a part of making a decision of who would be the next circuit court judge.
Well, we appreciate you for offering yourself for higher service. You are already in public service, and we wish you all the best and anything we can do to help. that's what we're talking about now.
Yep.
We're talking about our topic today is wrapping our arms around our community, ourselves, and not, there are government solutions that need to take place, but there's some home solutions that need to take place as well. And the best thing we can do to help a judge out is to be better conflict resolvers in our own house.
That's correct. That's true. That's true. And I agree with that. And I'm really happy that you're having that conversation. And I hope you continue to have such informative and conversations such as that, so that people won't have to access the courts for domestic violence and conflicts and things of that nature. We will work together with our communities to resolve those issues.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thanks a lot, Judge-elect Gibbs.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Peace and all goodwill to men during this holiday. Hey, quote me if I'm wrong, Representative Staff. When you introduce a bill, you either introduce the bill or a citizen can introduce a bill with the agreement with your constituent, or even the citizen can do it a whole nother way. They can have opinion committees and have surveys and petitions, and then they can get up their vote. The reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, Mr. Staff, is that it's time that we get serious about the truth of our people. And when people start talking about reparation, they think it's head now. Reparation comes in form of first an apology, and the Bible says, if any man wrong another man, he shall repent, and there shall be repentance of. So for all the black people out there talking about, oh, they ain't gonna do this, that, it is a godly thing, Mr. Staff. It's in the book of Isaiah. For all you Christians that don't know, how long we gonna play this game, Mr. Staff? Let me finish. If you want me to bring some money up your house, let me finish what I'm saying.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left to go on the show. Come on with it, man.
And as a representative, we can't introduce a reparation bill to you. And that goes to Mr. Senator Horn and all of them. We can get out on the street and we can file a petition to see in years or in here we can get our Congressman Billy Thompson. We need to, with the political thing going on, and I know, see, a lot of people don't even know that this.
All right, but hey, get back to my topic. We talking about making slaves.
Making slaves, we passed making slaves. Let's make kings of princes and princes. That's what the
I'm with you now. Hang up and listen to the rest of the show. All right, man. Let me finish off the rest of this this Willie Lynch letter. And just for those of you who don't know, just maybe tuned in. This show was brought up right before the show. We had a whole nother show planned. Young lady called, and we said, we are still making slaves. We need to stop it. Now, I agree with brother. I agree with reparations. There needs to be a federal or global reparations across this world, not just in America, but across the world, for the damage that was done for the continent of Africa and the people in the African diaspora and of African descent. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Because when you steal something and you profit from it and you get caught, you should repay and repair. Just like you go to jail for stealing something and you have to pay restitution. Reparations is just a restitution that's owed both monetary and in natural resources and in psychological damage over the generations to come to repair what was broken. I agree with that. But what we're saying today is we read a portion of the Willie Lynch letter and then we discussed it. And now I'm going to read a few more pieces of it. The cardinal principle for making a Negro is for fear that the future generations may not understand the principle of breaking both horses and men. We lay down the art, for if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break both the breasts together, the black man and the woman. We must understand that short-range planning in economics results in periodic economic chaos. All right. We lay down the following principles for long-range comprehensive economic planning. Both the horses and the blacks are no good to the economy in the wild or in a natural state. Both must be broken, tied together for orderly production. For orderly futures, special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. Both must be crossbred to produce a variety and division of labor. Both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. So this principle of making slaves was based off of breaking a horse.
Yep.
And adopted to making slaves. And it says instill fear in the woman by castrating and mutilating men in front of them to create the foundational pillar. Because if you separate the woman from the man, that core separation inside a relationship, inside of marriage, inside of community, that core separation between man and woman, pit them against each other, then you will have children who are divided inside themselves because they see mom and daddy always fighting. See, violent children come from violent houses. All right, let me say that again. Violent children grow up seeing violence and seeing their parents fussing and fighting all the daggone time. So they in turn copy those same behaviors.
Yeah.
And there's two things that children learn from. They learn from what they see in the home and what they're exposed to inside and outside the home. So if you got your children watching all these violent movies, these killing video games, and then you and your significant other, wife, and so forth are always at each other's throats, then what do you think they're gonna do? What do you think they're gonna do? And we've already, and no one has disproven this since the call-in, we have unmothered children.
I don't think.
Let me just let that soak in for y'all.
Let that, because they don't really know how.
See, I remember when I was growing up, when somebody said your mama,
Oh shoot, you back.
them were fighting words.
Fighting words.
I was sitting in a parent-teacher conference meeting, and I said, so my comments come from real world, not from playground. My comments are from real world. I sat in a parent-teacher conference recently. The young lady was about 15 years old, and she was nice, respectful when she walked in. She sat down, she talked to us. She talked about some challenges she was having in the classroom, some classmates, peers. She talked about some challenges she had at home between her and her mother. The mother comes walking in, and from the time she walked in the door, she said, I know y'all ain't got me up here for this little MF right here, cussing the baby out.
Yeah.
Baby 14 years old now. Mama cussing out from the door. Y'all done drugged me up here, got me taken off work, and she cussed the baby out from the door all the way to the seat. So what I'm telling you is, we must turn your radio down, call. Give me 1 second to finish my comment, then we'll get to your comment. We must identify if you are doing any of these actions, you're making slaves. You're turning your children into slaves if you are doing any of these things that we've talked about and more. And y'all can go online and read this letter all you want to. It's about 8 pages long. But my point I'm trying to make today is we must change our conduct. And as leaders, my fellow community leaders and elected officials, your conduct as leaders must be of higher character. We can no longer accept unacceptable behavior amongst leadership. We cannot condone stuff called folks black. If they're wrong, they're wrong. If they're not up here acting like Medgar Evers didn't die right down the street here in Jackson, Mississippi, and now they got elected based on that blood, and they get elected and act a darn fool. We can no longer have that to be acceptable and gloss it over. We must call it out for what it is and stand up for what's right. So everybody, from folks in the community and to leaders like myself need to perform better and of higher character. Hello, caller. Welcome to your show. What's your question or comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Representative Stamp. You know, that's a good topic that you're speaking on tonight about making slaves. Well, now, you spoke about our public officials wanted with their swears in, take these oaths of office, and then they turn around and vote contrary to the interests of their own kind. You were speaking about the judges. Now, there was one judge who was in the House of Representatives, Mr. Stamps, in the State House. Is that correct? Her name Gibbs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, you all are legal-minded people. What I'm trying to say, you all know the law, right?
Yes, sir.
You know what that oath of office means when you take that oath of office, when receiving the job, have you been elected?
Yes, sir.
Now, the oath of office you take as a House of Representative member means that oath means that you can't violate the law and the Constitution because you're aware of what that oath means. Now, then you turn right around and you run for a judgeship and you've already violated the law of the House of Representatives. How do you account for that? The oath you're going to take as a judge? You going to violate that too? Now, we talk about making slaves, and we put these people in these high positions, then to me, they never stop being a slave. Because when you vote in the interest that's contrary to your kind and you vote the interest of people that don't look like you, then that means you're still on the plantation. You're taking a hypocritical oath that you're not going to live up to. Now, I want you to answer me something. You're in the House of Representatives. How many of you all voted for that bill that gives the right to private schools to receive federal tax dollars? Were you one of the members that voted for that, Representative Sam?
Yes, sir.
Now, you know under the Constitution that's illegal, but you voted anyway. Now tell me, why did you vote for that?
All right, so when we had a healthy discussion about that, and that was voiced by a couple members. We talked about it, and we sat down and said, you know what? How do we navigate this thing from our minority position to get what we want? Because because education is handled on the block. So look at all the education things that were on the table this past year. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we wanted and have wanted for several years was a teacher pay raise. So we said, okay, we'll handle this in the courts. If we can get them to vote for a teacher pay raise, we'll push this down the river and we'll fight this over in the courts. Because in our position, we have to play chess and not checkers. And so we all knew, and we talked to a few attorneys and judges before we voted for that as a caucus. And we felt pretty confident that it'll get struck down in the courts. So, yeah, but hold on, hold on, Cam, man. So what we did was we said, you know what? We're going to send this over to the courts, but we're going to get them to vote for that teacher pay raise at the same time. And we had to use a little strategy to make it happen. And we sent it over to the courts, and we got what we wanted, and we got the part that we wanted out of it, even though we didn't have the numbers, because our group doesn't have the numbers to retract that out. All right, we didn't have the numbers to retract it out. So we said, what's a better strategy to get everything we want? We didn't want the money to go to private schools, but we did want the teacher pay raise, so we had to use a little strategy to make that work.
Well, you used strategy, but that strategy violated the Constitution that oath of office. So now, why not use the right strategy to get what you want, but not violate the oath that you took to uphold, to respect and guarantee the right of the people that you represent, the right and proper leadership?
Well, if I had 20 more members that were voting our way, we could do that. But because we don't vote in a high enough degree and don't answer the census, I don't have the numbers.
You're saying that we don't want you to make slaves, but you're making slaves out of yourself when you go underhanded to get them done
just to receive one thing and you lose on the other end.
But we didn't
So
lose.
that's how they was
But my point is, we didn't lose. We won.
Yeah, but what did you win?
The courts,
You violated the Constitution.
and the court system struck it down.
Okay.
So we won.
But what you violate the Constitution? How could you win?
The courts struck it down, Cab man.
It doesn't make sense what the court did, but your vote was in violation of what the Constitution.
And the courts articulated that. We won.
All right.
So thanks a lot, Cab man. We got 2 minutes left to go on the show.
I appreciate that.
All right. So my point is, in our position now, we don't have enough people voting to change the numbers in the state House of Representatives or the state Senate. So we got to navigate this thing differently.
We spoke on this a while ago.
So hold on. If I had another 20% of folks showing up to vote,
okay,
then I would have more folks on my side at that Capitol to vote with me. But if I can get some other folks from across the aisle, and I can show them a little carrot, and I can put that carrot up in there and say, hey, you got something in here for private schools. I can't stop it. But if I can get you to vote for a teacher pay raise, and let me tell you the reason why they didn't want for the teacher pay raise to happen all these years. The majority of teachers in this state are Black women.
Yep.
And Black women, and all teachers, received on average a $7,000 to $9,000 pay raise. All these teachers.
We're losing them, man. I mean, go ahead.
So now, in order for us to make that happen, we can only perform in the position that people give us. If Black folks showed up in Mississippi and Democrats showed up in Mississippi, we would have a governor. Heck, Jesse Jackson won the state of Mississippi. You know why? Because the civil rights generation got off their butt and got to work and pushed it over the head. So now all the electoral vote for the state of Mississippi went to Jesse Jackson. So how did that happen? Our percentages were about the same, population-wise, but our participation was higher. So if we participated at a higher degree, you wouldn't have Black folks up at that Capitol in a slave position if our participation was higher. But don't admonish me when we won, just because I thought it through. And I got other folks to think it through. But the point I'm trying to make today, look in your life. If any of the practices you're doing are making slaves, stop it and reach into your family. I'm not saying the government shouldn't solve this problem, but I am saying the first responsibility is your household and your family to solve the positions and the issues in your family. Last words, Jason.
Well, I'll just put 2 comments right now. And I've been saying it for a while though. We got to get more involved, engaged in the political process. And one way by doing that is actually our community, our responsibility. You know, I used to say that years ago.
All the time
When I first, it's 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Right.
I believe in that though. Our community, our responsibility. And we let's keep on pushing, just keep on, a snowball effect. It's not going to change overnight, and I know we get a lot of negative media, but guess what? We need to focus on when we constructive things in our thoughts. I stress that.
That's right.
Because you be out there and guess what you'll say? I can't help my family. I can't do this. And I'm just being honest with you. So that's how it goes, man.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, if we talk about making slaves, I love you to death, Cab man. But calling it and making up an issue that we won on. See, we even argue when we agree.
Yeah, we waste.
That's wasted energy.
I don't want to waste energy.
We shouldn't argue when we agree. And leaders are put in positions where they have to make decisions that ain't straight line. They're utopia. You go down that Capitol and see if you want to give thousands of Black women across the state a $7,000 to $9,000 raise and see what you say. But we had the opportunity to do it, and we did it.
But you've been losing them too. Now I'm just saying.
And we're losing teachers.
So you got to find a way to keep something here.
And so, but next year, don't put your next delegation in the same position by not coming out to vote. Don't just you go vote. Take 10 people. You do that. Whoever runs for governor will win. Whoever runs for lieutenant governor will win.
Yep.
And then we won't have to perform like that. We won't have to think through, make compromising votes. But don't put your leaders in a slave position. So I appreciate you for bringing up, Cab man, about inappropriate activity about votes. But that's one vote that we won on because we thought it through and put a good strategy in place to win. But in the future, stop making slaves in your house. Stop making slaves next door to you. Stop making slaves in your family. so we can stop this inappropriate activity all the way around. As we end every show, we always want to thank our underwriters. Thank you for Mr. Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan Transportation Service. You can go to www.mjstransportation1.com for your transportation needs. And also, never let anybody put you in a position where you don't love your own people. Because when you hate your own folks, you're part of the very oppression we're trying to lift ourselves out of. I love you, Jackson. I love you, Mississippi. I love you, Cab Man. I love you, Handy. Thanks, Wanda Evans. We appreciate you, dear. I love you. God bless and Godspeed. Get us out of here, Handy.